Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to episode 53 of BDAchat. Joining me this week, as ever, we've got the delightful Rob.
I'm back.
He's back from where have you been?
Busy.
He's been back from being busy. And it's captain of the ship. Ain't done that one for a while. It's Mr. David Knowles.
Hello.
So, one of the questions, we're going to cover a question this week of basically how to make your marketing cut through. And what we're thinking is that there's numerous ways you can do it, but one of the key things that we'd like to sort of break down is how we think that you could use potentially storytelling to basically cut through, to help your marketing cut through. And there's numerous ways you can, things that can help to make storytelling cut through. But that's where we're going to start. So bear with us, strap in. It's going to be a good ride. So from that storytelling, I'm going to go straight. I'm gonna.
I guess. Shall I start?
You
I guess the best place to start is to think about how the customer might be feeling right now.
Yeah.
How you might be feeling right now, in so much as that you're doing marketing, you're talking about features and benefits, you're pumping stuff out there, but you're not getting the likes, if we want to talk about social media, but also you might not be getting the engagement, the leads, the sales calls, the opportunities, the sales themselves coming through as a result of the marketing that's going out there.
Yeah. And let's face it, it's tough at the moment, isn't it? I think
really
it's tough for a lot of companies, a lot of people out there. I think there's a lot of noise in most industries. Noisy competitors, so many platforms saying the same things.
Absolutely. Saying the same things in the same way, and perhaps in a way that maybe the audience is just not latching onto.
Yeah. USP blindness. They've heard so many USPs.
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard this before. The competitors saying the same thing. I've got USP blindness. Then it becomes a dogfight, doesn't it?
Well, it does. Yeah. And it's there for who screams loudest sometimes. And given the way that advertising is an interruptive media. Basically, it's interrupting the stories that you are reading or listening to or watching, and people are basically just ignoring them now.
Yeah.
And that it's just a fact of the way that life is today, because we are bombarded by thousands of them every day. So, therefore, it begs the question: how can we cut through in such a cluttered, noisy marketplace? And one of the ways that we feel you can do that is through stories.
Absolutely.
Because human beings, we're tuned into stories. We've been doing it for tens of thousands of years.
Yeah. It's in our makeup, our brains.
Absolutely. 65% of our conversations are about stories.
Yeah.
The gossip that we have, it's about stories. Because do you know what? We remember them. We are wired to remember them.
Yeah, neurocoupling is a big part, if you like, the science behind it. Part of your brain does neurocoupling. You hear a story, you start to make it your experience. I think that's a big part. Dopamine, I know we've mentioned this before. When you release dopamine into your brain, it makes things more memorable, and stories do that. It's been tried and tested. It's got scientific reports backing it up, Lee.
Scientific reports.
Absolutely.
It's the data. It's all about the data.
Go on.
Well, no, the data informs you of what type of story you need to tell. Because the data will inform you of where your customers are, what they're doing, what sort of stories they're enjoying now. So with that data, you can then basically figure out what kind of story you need to tell.
Yeah, so you're saying basically that a good story isn't just pulling a story from out of thin air.
No.
That's bad marketing. What you're saying is actually it's based on.
It's targeted to a degree in terms of if you're trying to target a specific customer or audience. If they're looking at this particular type of information now, then you need, it gives you an idea of, okay, so my story needs to have these story beats. It needs to be set in this kind of environment, this universe, whatever kind of story you're trying to tell. Yeah. So, and with that, you're basically making an informed decision. Otherwise, you could go, what shall I tell a story about? And to be fair, sometimes that's the hardest part, is where do you start? But without that data, without knowing...
You're saying basically, how can you create a relatable story without knowing the person you're aiming that story at, knowing what they're thinking, what their challenges are.
What their challenges are, what struggles they may have. Does your product or does your service offer a solution to that? And if it does, then let's look at their pain points and say, oh, okay, let's tell a story that's relatable to them, that they can draw from in terms of motive or in terms of information, in terms of help, an answer to their problem, and you keep it real. And that's the thing. That's one of the key things about stories, is that they're, as long as you, they're emotive, so they're drawing people in. They're so immersive, and they're about, in all fairness, they're about to something. The research suggests that they may get even more immersive. What with the likes of AR and VR?
Yeah, completely.
There's some they're always thinking of new ways of telling stories. But that's 2020. That's a good couple of years. AR and VR, they're not there yet, but people are starting to look at how we can make storytelling even to a greater level.
Well, because I think the point is, we're talking. A story is essentially a rational message wrapped in an emotion package, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get in any communication, really. You're not trying to just get them in their heads, you're trying to get them in their hearts, because actually as human beings we are incredibly irrational creatures. Whilst something might seem incredibly rational to do, and the rational thing would be to do X, because of the emotions that drive us, we'll tend to sometimes do the irrational thing, because that's what our heart is telling us to do. We do that all the time.
You're a heart person, aren't you, Lee?
It's painful. I always follow the irrational brain, the irrational heart, and it gets me to so much trouble.
But you think going back to what you were talking about, dopamine and endorphins, etc., that you're looking to try and release. It's those chemicals in your brain that do actually make you remember things, and make you act, make you trust, make you laugh, make you empathize with something or someone. Because ultimately, a brand, a person, a company is trying to show through a story an understanding of their customer,
shared values.
Absolutely, their customer's problem, and then take them from a point of this is where you are at the moment to a better place. Take them on a journey, on a transition, and that's essentially what a story is. It's taking someone from point A to point B through the use of a story and therefore emotions to actually show them a better place. Yeah.
No, completely. I think it's shared values is such a key term, because we all, as we're consumers in this room as much as what we do, but we're consumers and we buy into brands that we can relate to.
Yeah.
Whether that's Nike for me. I love some of the Nike messaging. I don't want to get too caught up on that, but some of the Nike messaging is all about, do you know what? Nike's for athletes, but when anyone puts on our stuff, anyone can be an athlete. And again, it's that you can. Don't quote me on that verbatim, but literally, it's along those lines that actually I can buy into that. I'm not Usain Bolt.
It's funny that though, because
he is sponsored by Reebok.
I don't have an issue. I like buying Nike stuff, but I don't like the messaging.
No,
don't know why. Anyway,
I shouldn't have said that. I should have known that with you.
But it's understanding your brand, understanding the audience. Where are they right now, and how can? But I think that the thing with adverts or marketing of the old was kind of like, this is the thing we're trying to sell, and this is the offer, and you need to go, and it's push, and it's go buy it now.
Buy some features, here's some benefits.
Here's go out in and
you're going to want it just because of those.
Our message. And
if it didn't work out in a sale, then like that minute, within that week, it was deemed a failure, or that month, or whereas storytelling I think it's a slower process of getting into your customers,
into the psyche. And dripping.
It's a slow drip feed, because you don't. It's a lot of this powerful stuff is like the storytelling advertisement videos that we've created ourselves or some that we've seen. It's not all. It takes a while. You come away from thinking, oh, I've changed my perception on that brand. Now I'm not saying that I'm going to run out and go and buy a pair of whatever they are or the particular item in question. But the next time you come into a situation in your life when a need for a service or a need for that type of product pops into your head, that's when that advert, that video that you saw, that's when, because of those emotive keys that it's got into
the emotions that you felt at the time,
that's what you call back on, because you remember that more than someone just barking at you saying, oh, you need to go buy this product.
Features, benefits, USPs.
You don't remember that. I remember that video about that girl that she was doing this and that. Like the Dove one. That was a powerful advert.
Real beauty sketches,
So, or the what was the other one they did? That Throw Like a Girl. That was.
Like a Girl.
Yeah,
that was brilliant. Or, you've got storytelling where you focus on a particular person, like Dyson. You focus on the inventor himself and the struggle and the pain, but the joy that he's gone through to create a technological leap in a particular service. And all the stuff about where we've done cyclones and does all this, that all just goes, well, yeah, okay. You buy into him.
Yeah.
Same with Tesla. You're buying into what he's. He's quite a different market, but
because it's almost like the detail comes second. You've got to grab their attention, create that relatability in those early stages. That's through the story. Of course, if you really want to buy a Dyson, you're going to get into their tech specs. You want to see that. You're going to want to compare it. Power output, battery life, whatever it may be. But that first instance, in particular, to get there is creating that relatability.
Well, plus the other thing is that you say about the tech sheets, but I always find if you the first thing I always find
reviews.
As well. But I find if you find a piece of marketing that you enjoy watching, you'll go and show it to someone else.
It's true.
So you're almost doing the job for them because it's like, oh, have you seen this advert? It's great. I'll do it right now because you may not have seen this one. But did you see the Bud Light advert?
I haven't yet. No.
Go check out the Bud Light advert. It's brilliant. It's got Bud Light. It's so corny and it's so old school advertising, and then it completely just mashes it with something else. And you're like, oh wow, you've just there's a whole article about how they struggled with the messaging at the time because they were a bit unsure.
Well, if you think about advertising, advertising, as I said right earlier on, is an interruptive media, and once upon a time it was enough to say, buy this.
Yeah,
that was enough, really. And I remember being somewhere, and it would say, well, you used to see it advertised on TV, and therefore that gave it enough credibility to be a product that you'd want to buy. Whereas today, advertising and marketing has to be the story, because otherwise people just turn off to it.
Yeah.
So hence, the likes of some of the big brands like John Lewis, Dove. They all do it very well. They tell you a story, they hook you in emotionally, which then creates greater affinity and loyalty to that particular brand because, do you know what? They understand me. They get me.
Yeah.
I feel something for them.
Yeah, I get that. And I get that completely, that disruptive element. And, one of the biggest trends, they're predicting for this year and beyond is the rise of native advertising, adverts that look like their environment they're in. So rather than the old adverts where it's disruptive, you're there and you can see this is clearly an advert and they're marketing to me, adverts that actually look like their environment, whether that's on Instagram, whether that's on Google, whether it may be, adverts that don't interrupt the experience.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, I love your questions. No, you make it one look like the environment. You don't take, if someone's enjoying Instagram, you're there for a certain reason, visual, aren't you? You're there for visual, for inspiration, whatever it may be. And you don't then put an advert that looks like something you would see in a newspaper in there. You try and fit that visual style again and just make it feel native, and that's where the story element comes into it. Again, it's you're not just leading with buy this or save this amount of money. It's not that.
Well, look at Instagram
you're looking for the emotional pull.
Instagram stories, they're so sort of like, they're so simple.
Yeah.
And yet, and I always find that the stories that real people tell, they're just so much more, involving than. And there's something there to be. It's all about just creating an engagement, and one that don't the candles that don't blow out after like 2 minutes of like, oh yeah, okay, gone. Yeah, it's a slow burn.
Yeah. I think looking at Christmas time, I mentioned John Lewis just now, and I'm not going to mention the John Lewis ad, but there was one. There was it wasn't an advert either. It was just it was a short story essentially. It was called Love as a Gift, and it was created by a chap called Phil Beastall. And he actually created it in December of 2014.
Okay.
4 years later, this video actually gets picked up on YouTube by the masses, and all of a sudden it's become a viral hit. It then achieves 50 million views around the world.
Crikey.
100,000 times on social media, and this chap then goes on to create for Good Morning Britain a 1 million minutes Christmas campaign for them. So, and I urge you to go and watch this. This is not a piece of advertising. It's just a really nice piece of storytelling, which draws you in. Great storytelling makes you care, makes you want to see what happens at the end, because you care. You want to know. And whether that's comedic storytelling, whether that's heartfelt storytelling, whether that's a thriller, whether that's a horror, whether that's what, you want to see good overcome evil. You want to see the couple get together. You want to see whether that product works, whether you can be a better person as a result of doing X.
Take me to the end of the rainbow.
That's what storytelling is about, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about seeing something go from one place,
to
transitioning to a better place, having gone through a hard problem or an antagonistic moment to get there, which is actually the point which has made that struggle. Because people, dare I say it, you go back to the Nike ads as well, they're all about the struggle.
Yeah, completely.
It's about the training, it's about the hard work.
It's about hitting the wall and bouncing back and then...
not working it, but then all of a sudden, do you know what? I've done it.
Yeah.
It's a bit like the X Factor, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone's on a journey.
I know it is.
Everyone's on a journey.
That's why people watch
the X Factor. So why have you come on the X Factor?
Not that I watch the X Factor.
Because I'm doing it for my daughter.
But to be fair, the whole reason it's like the same old thing. I can never understand, but it's the same old, it's like this journey of, I've always wanted to be a singer.
The music kicks in.
And then it's like, no, I hate that stuff.
Snow Patrol kicks in.
I hate the stuff that they do the VT stuff. I wish they'd stop doing that. But it's the journey of the individual going through it, and you see them, and that's why people tune in
because people like it.
Oh, this is the audition stage. Then we're on to the live stage. Then we're on to the finals, and it's just that journey. And that's why it's the same with any TV show like that. That's why they're all so popular.
Yeah,
that's why they don't go away. That's why Strictly's in like year whatever it is, season 21.
People like watching people.
They like
It's never changed.
Yeah,
we're worse at it than ever. We get more access to it. So, because you can relate, people relate to things in there. Whether you can relate to Love Island or not, at the end of the day, there's a story in there.
Well, it's not just the stories that are told there; it's the stories you then share with the people that that watch it. And it's all about, have you seen it? And then sooner or later you're going to mention something like let's say, I know Love Island, they signed up some clothing deal, didn't they?
Boohoo.com.
Whatever it was. And even I was noticing, I didn't even mean to notice it, but there was like loads of caps they kept wearing. And I remember I was chatting to, I think it was Camilla or to you, something about, have you seen all these caps they keep wearing? I think maybe it was Sam. And she was like, that was good. And then I noticed in some marketing on, I think it was Drum, how basically how much they paid for the rights to use that, for Love Island to use their stuff, but how much money they made.
Oh,
they didn't even advertise. There was none of that boohoo, none of the usual advertisement stuff. It was just like, I like that. What's he wearing?
Yeah.
So it was just bomb.
Yeah, and just thinking about that Dyson thing, with Dyson, you're not selling the fact that it sucks this hard and it picks up you're actually saying, sorry,
I knew you'd go there.
You both smiled. But what you're selling is actually, because it's so efficient, it buys time back in your life.
Yeah.
And that's the emotional pull there. Actually, time to spend with your kids, or time to get out the house and go and enjoy the weather because it's sunny outside.
Yeah, you don't have to wait around for it to charge itself. Or the same like VW. You don't see VW focusing on the parts of the car. The car's got these new sensors. I mean, there's stuff there on their website. You don't go into it, but all of the advertising is more about how this car's going to make your life better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's exactly that.
It's all about making your life better.
It's all lifestyle engagement. It's not about hard plastic and steering wheels and, fair enough though, if you then looked at the F1, it might be a completely different type of marketing.
Yeah.
Because there is all about the car. And it's like a little bit more about the drivers, I guess. But a lot more about the cars, because otherwise... Anyway, we need to wrap this one up. I appreciate we could go on. And there's lots to... There is a whole...
There will be more
raft of storytelling content that we can go through. But like anything, it's a journey, and this is where we're going to start.
Yeah,
completely.
So, we'll just start with I've got a few top tips that I think can help with storytelling. I'll quickly fire them off. There's probably more than one, so apologies. But I'll probably nick all of these guys, so they ain't got any. But anyway, understand your brand, understand your audience.
Cocky.
Figure out where they are right now. But the top one for me is, if you're going to do anything of storytelling, yes, understand who you are, but please get some top-notch copywriting involved in any type of storytelling, because without that narrative message, without that narrative, in all fairness, you haven't really got a story. So that's my top tip. Who wants to go next?
I've got a couple. My first one is solve a problem.
Nice. Solve
the customer's problem, and the second is take people on a journey, take them on, transition people, improve their life. Basically, that's what a good story is about, and that's what you're looking for your product to tell people, that it's going to improve their life.
Or ask the question: can it improve their life? if it can't do it, then maybe you've answered what your storytelling needs to be. It needs to be a different type of story. It doesn't mean that it can't be done by storytelling. Any more?
No, just those two for me.
We should really share these through on the podcast because
I've probably got another one.
I've got another one. I probably can. I think
make it suck harder.
Dyson. We've got a phone call. Is this going out live? We've had a phone call. No, again, it's the same as UX storytelling for me. It's you do, like you said, Lee, you start with the user, make sure you understand their wants, needs, their problems. Think about the technology, the platform, the medium last of all. That's what you get to by the time you've actually understood your user. You've worked out what your story is, what your message is, and how that resonates. The last piece you think about is how you deliver that to them.
Yeah, it's a key
thing. Too often in marketing, people get caught up on the end piece first. I want a website. I want a video. Actually, let's start back.
It's got to go across all of your channels, and it has to be the same message throughout. So you can't just expect a video or any type of story content, anything just on one particular medium to work. It has to be across all.
They're more effective.
Definitely.
It's different channels.
Okay, lovely. So, well, thank you for tuning in to episode 53. We'll have more of this sort of type of question podcast coming up, obviously next week. Please get in touch with us on our social media channels at Twitter and LinkedIn and Instagram at Thinkbda. Also, just so you know, we're now on Spotify. Yay! Oh. I love Spotify, and we're on iTunes. So there you go.
We are indeed.
Audio versions only. Obviously, don't forget YouTube, because that's where, please go to the YouTube channel for Thinkbda. Give us a subscribe and a like. And until next week, this is me, David, Rob. I could have done that way, but I was looking at the camera as I'm going to get mixed up. So until episode 54, let's go get that meringue pie out of the oven. See you next week.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Cooking. I knew you'd have to get one bit of cooking in there.
Sorry, not that long.
30,
That is 40 minutes.
No, it's not 40 minutes. It's
no,
32.
for the lemon meringue pie.
Oh.
Yeah, that'd be right. That'd go 5. That'd go 10. Probably be burnt. You can't burn on 140.
David's kitchen's on fire.
Cut to the story.
Correct.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you want to do? Do you want to do a quick?
Oh yeah, quick. You want to do
Launching a new
episode? Right.
website?
Okay, episode.
Was it 5 minutes? I think this
episode
one.
54.
54.
Well, does this need to have an episode? Is it an episode?
No, I don't think it should be a podcast.
This is just a
launch a new website.
podcast.
Yeah, just to back up any
launch
articles.
Podcast.
Yeah, don't count it as one of these. I don't think. I think it's a bit egotistical to have a number 55 being about your own website.
Okay.
Or 54.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you?
Go on, let's see what happens.
Let's do it. Wait a sec. Do we need to change clothes so we don't look like we record them back to back? Take your hat off, Lee.
It is going to look like we recorded back to back.
It's all right.
There's nothing we can do about that.
It's
I
okay.
can put my other jumper on.
Yes.
But
Yeah, I can. Fuck it.
Do we do it in the same format? Like good morning, good evening, hello, or just
Do whatever you want.
Say hello.
Do whatever you want.
Okay.
Just don't. Just hurry up.
Word on the street is that BDA has got a new website, has got a whole new brand feel, has got a whole new tone, has got a new video, has got so much new content that I have spent the last day and a half just going through it all. It's amazing. So, yes, we thought we'd have a quick little get-together of us dynamic trio, just to talk about what basically we've done with the BDA website, why we've done it, and basically our methodology behind it. So, without further ado, you've heard enough from me. Let's hand you over to Rob here.
Hey.
Rob didn't know that was going to happen.
No, I'm good with it.
That's going to happen.
I'm good with it.
So, Rob, the BDA website is looking amazing. But why change our website?
It's a really good question. And do you know what? I think we spent a big chunk of last year kind of transitioning, listening to our clients, understanding their industries, understanding our own industry, looking at ourselves, and kind of drawing breath, I think. You know, marketing is changing. The world around us is changing. And I think we just kind of took a bit of time to kind of understand it and look at how we kind of reinvest in ourselves, redevelop ourselves, and reposition ourselves to move forward. And that obviously, you know, it leads itself into a website, a brand, a message. Stop smiling when I stutter. And I think that's what we've been doing. And as a result, secretly, it's been very top secret in the background. A lot of additional hours outside of work, weekends.
When did we start this?
It's
gosh.
been in the office.
September, October last year, something like that. Yeah, it's been quite a thought process.
Exactly,
really.
It isn't jump in and build a website and do a brand.
No.
It's more than the website. Sorry,
it's bigger, of course.
It's a methodology.
Exactly
It's a formula, as it were, for how we look at our clients' problems.
Yeah.
And how we use story-based or story-told marketing and the techniques of that to help make their marketing better, dare I say it. Because ultimately, what do our customers want? Well, they want to stand out in a really cluttered, noisy market.
Yeah.
And they want to, they want their customers to love them, to want to work with them, to engage with them. They want to create sales and leads. That's ultimately why companies come to us, because they're looking to sell more stuff.
Yeah.
And so we fervently believe, looking at the industry, looking at how marketing is changing, looking at ourselves and our own team, that, do you know what? Stories, they really work. They engage you. They take you from a point of I have a problem, or I was okay, I now have a problem. Something has happened. I'm not getting the click through from my online advertising.
Yeah, my budgets don't go as far as they did. They don't get enough returns as they used to. I don't retain customers.
Absolutely. My website isn't getting the hits it used to, or the videos I've got, they just aren't working.
Yep.
All sorts of problems and questions like that. Or my brand isn't quite right. What do I do? How do I make it better? How do I get more leads? How do I get more sales? And it's then looking at the customer, looking at the customer's customer, and saying, so what are their problems? What are their pain points? What is it they're actually coming to you for? Not what is they saying they want, but actually how it is they feel. What is it they're thinking? What are their frustrations that actually your product or service can solve? Yeah. And then how you can help them as their guide, Yoda, Gandalf, whatever you want to call it,
Frodo Baggins,
to help them
Gandalf
overcome that issue and take them on to a better place.
Completely.
So that's our methodology, our thinking. We've got a formula that we put together about that as well, which is just about essentially a client fulfilling a promise. Because that's what we're all doing in our marketing, is trying to fulfill a promise that actually we can take from your problem through to a resolution which actually improves things for you, for your business, for your brand, for your company, because of the way that you're talking in a more storyfied way with your audience.
Yeah. And do you know what? I think if anyone who kind of knows BDA, they'd probably go, well, actually, didn't you have a new brand, a new website last year? I think we always knew that was a stopgap.
Was it last year? Or was it you?
Yeah, no, it was last year, wasn't it? It was last year, and I think we always knew it was a stopgap. I think we just went on that one in terms of the website. We just went creative led. Let's just smash out the part of creative, And what we've been doing in the background is developing the methodology of what we do and how we do it. And now the website needs to reflect that, and that's why that was a transitioning period. And for me now, what's come, what is here right now, represents who we are and what we're doing.
Absolutely, because it's still about creative. It's still about producing stuff which our clients would be proud of. That they can go home and they can see, tell their mums, their dads, their brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, kids, look what I did at work. I did that, or we did that. And that's what we want. We want that pride. We want to create stuff which is creative.
Yeah.
But in so doing is really effective. It's not just about producing something that looks beautiful, but actually has no effect.
The message, has a message and a story that is running through.
Absolutely, has the message and the emotion. And it's actually about using emotions in marketing. We are irrational, emotionally driven creatures, so we need to pull on those strings in order that we get people to, we hook someone in with what we are saying, and we actually ultimately make them carry out an action as a result of that, because they are emotionally driven enough to go and do that.
Yeah. And if they're a fish, you keep them in the keep net and keep them. Keep them coming back. Retention.
We need a bigger boat.
But absolutely.
I love what's come of it all. I think it does truly reflect who we are and what we're doing. Again, like David just said, creativity hasn't changed. That's a big part of what we do. We know your marketing blueprint is always very much get the right targeting, understand the user, get creative to get their attention, get the right message to relate and resonate, drive an action and make that action as easy as you possibly can to carry out. And that's what lies behind it all, but it's mixed in with a little bit more special ingredients that we're bringing to the table, which is really exciting.
Absolutely.
Go and have a look, please. Have a dig around the website, and all of basically everything will have changed. So it's not just the website; it's social media. You'll see a different approach to things from now on, really, from Thinkbda. So please get in touch with anything. If you've got any comments or if you've got any feedback or anything you'd like to see more of, not in terms of even the podcast or even just videos on Thinkbda.
Or more cooking tips from Lee.
I haven't got any of them yet. So, but that's us done. We've got to go because unfortunately we're running out of time on the card. I can see it ticking away. And if we don't go now, we're going to get cut off. So, final comments? Anyone got any final comments? No?
Have a look.
And give us your feedback. We always welcome user feedback. So if there's anything you spot on there or any ideas or views, then again, get in touch on one of our channels. Drop us an email. Drop us a call.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you like what we see. And don't forget you can check us out on Spotify and iTunes. So until next time, until next time.
That's an end.